Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a lovely Monday here in suburban Chicago. I am out strolling around and ready for the day. I'm heading to the library and back, so I'm going to record 2 episodes, as has been my habit these last few Wednesdays. It's worked out, or these last few Mondays, it's worked out nicely. So it occurred to me, as I often do, sometimes I'll mention games in the monthly roundup that I tried online, but I've found this weird spot where sometimes I'll play a game online and I don't mark it down as a new game I've played because I don't feel like I really understood it. I'm joining a number of online tournaments where we're trying all these different games, and I'll admit some of them I'm not doing my due diligence in terms of learning how to play the game before I play it online. So I'm just kind of trying things and seeing what happens. But I thought I would talk a little bit today about the games I've been playing online asynchronously, both on Board Game Arena, on Yucata.de, and on Boiteajeux. And I'd talk a little bit about what I'm getting out of that experience and just generally playing games online. So there are 2 primary ways that I play games online. One is through these online tournaments in Board Game Arena, which are organized by, I think, Joanna Stearns from whom I know through the Blue Peg, Pink Peg community forums. And these are tournaments among Blue Peg, Pink Peg fans and the Brawling Brothers podcast fans. And the idea is that I think we're going through every game on Board Game Arena, just in numerical order, or in alphabetical order. So we've been playing a whole bunch of stuff I've never heard of, which is an interesting and amusing way to explore space. So that's kind of what we've been doing there. So I'll talk a little bit about those. Then I play a number of sort of ongoing continuous games with a few different communities. So I'll talk about those a bit as well. So first off, in these tournaments, the couple of games that I've tried recently are a Fistful of Gold and 13 Clues are 2 of the games recently that I felt like I show a good mix. So a Fistful of Gold is a weird dueling game where you're trying to anticipate your opponent's card plays. You have a handful of cards and they have numbers on them, and some of them have special powers, some of them don't. Each of them will either defeat or not defeat a combination of the other cards. So you're trying to anticipate which cards the other players have and really get a sense of which card they're going to play next. There is an element by which you're also supposed to try to anticipate or try to keep track of which cards they have, which doesn't work asynchronously. When I'm playing a game over a couple days, I don't have the mental bandwidth to try to keep track of which cards other people play. And it seemed like everyone else in the tournament had the same thing. People are just sort of like, I'm just randomly guessing. And I had the same experience. Nonetheless, it was fun, and I could see how in face-to-face game that might be really fun. The game it most reminded me of from my collection is my most obscure game that I talk about a lot, and that's Strife, Legacy of the Eternals, in which players each pick a card and play it, and the effects sort of trigger off each other, and you're trying to anticipate which cards the other players are going to play. There's also the follow-on element where the card that you played last round also does something, and so the combination of last round's card and this round's card really make for interesting interactions in gameplay. So that's a Fistful of Gold. 13 Clues was pretty interesting. It's sort of a deduction game. I mean, it was a deduction game in which you're trying to, again, solve your classic mystery of who did it with what and where. So you have a location, you have a person, and you have a weapon that you're trying to guess. And each thing has 2 qualities. It can be outside or inside. The location could be outside or inside. The weapon could be handheld or ranged. The person could be male or female. And there are these colored sets of cards as well. So there's 1 green person, 1 green weapon, 1 green location. And your goal is to figure out which 3 cards are on the front of your divider. So you don't get to see the cards that you have on your divider. And you can do a number of different things. There are 4 hidden cards that you could spend a turn looking at one of the hidden cards. And then you can ask clues of the other people. And the idea is that you're trying to figure out which cards are on the front of your thing. Also, each person has 2 secret cards that are behind their screen that no one else can see. And so the clues you're asking for, you might ask somebody like, do you see any green cards? And somebody would say how many green cards they see. And the number of green cards they see would include any green cards that are on the front of your screen. But it could also include cards that only they can see. So if you're trying to figure out, are there any green cards on your screen, you need to ask 2 different people. And the differential between those two numbers will give you how many green cards are on your screen. It's an interesting game. I thought it was fun. I think it would be pretty interesting and fun in person if you have a way to take notes. I don't know if the game comes with a note-taking ability. The system does. And I had fun. We played 3 different games of it. One of them I had no clue what I was doing, and other people had guessed their answers before I even really got a sense of it. The second one, I thought I had it down to 3 possibilities, and I guessed 2 of them before someone else guessed the correct possibility on their turn. And then finally, in the third game, I decided to share as little information as possible. So I used my first 4 turns to look at the hidden clues, which gave me information but no one else. And then after that, I asked, I think, 1 question. And the whole time I was listening to what other people said. And then I made my guess, and I ended up winning that one. So that was fun to win one of them. So those are the 2 of the games I've played in these tournaments, and the tournaments will continue for some time. There have been a bunch of others that have been pretty good as well. Somebody driving around my neighborhood in a really nice old, like 1970s snazzy lime green car, or avocado green, I guess. You may have heard it. That was the second time it drove by me. All right, so the second kind of game I'm playing online is a series of asynchronous plays with a number of different groups of people, many of whom are listeners here. Thanks again for being listeners, dear friends. If I forget to mention our particular game, my apologies. I'm just sort of doing a general skim, and I did not go write anything down, and my memory is Swiss cheese, so apologies in advance if I don't mention anybody in particular. But I've played a number of different games. I've enjoyed games of Beyond the Sun and Lost Ruins of Arnak over at Board Game Arena. Both of these have given me a sense of how the game works and made me interested in playing them in person. Beyond the Sun, I really enjoy the online play of it, and I would certainly enjoy playing it in person. Playing it the way I have, I know for certain it's not a good fit for my family. Lost Ruins of Arnak, on the other hand, is interesting. I get a sense of how it plays, but I had a lot of trouble getting it to click in my head about how everything fits together because it plays so slow when you're not playing in person. However, I knew the theme was good, and I feel like the game has a bit of an Everdell feel to it. It's certainly different. You are not building a tableau of cards, you're deck building a bit. The big place where I see an overlap of the 2 is in the ramp up of activity. So in both Everdell and Lost Ruins of Arnak, you have just 2 workers that you start with, and you use those to sort of, in an accelerating pace, gain more and more resources and, accomplish more and more things. The theme also definitely fit in the sorts of things my wife likes, so I did go on a flyer and pick that game up, and we tried our first game of it, and she liked it. Over time, as we've played more and more games, the complexity level was in line with what she was doing. I made sure to point out that the research track holds a lot of points and is really important, so you shouldn't neglect it. And she kicked my butt. Our first game, she got 70 points and I got 45 or something. Now, I will say that often when we try a new game, she beats me the first play, and then I often improve faster than she does. So we'll see if that winning streak continues, that winning streak of 1, but we'll see if that continues. But Lost Ruins of Arnak has been fun both online and in person. Over on Yucata, I've been playing Villagers a little bit, and that's been pretty fun. It's been interesting to try. Once again, that's a game I think I'm going to need to play a number of times before I get all the nuances, in part because I don't do adequate prep. I don't go read the rules and watch a video the way I would before I play an in-person game. Or even if I do, Like, generally the effect of playing a complex online game is I read the rules and watch a video, and then I immediately play the game. So I get to see all of those things happening in real time within a few minutes or a few days of me playing a game or watching a video. With Villagers, I watched a video, but then, I play 1 or 2 moves a day, and so I lose track of the nuances of the rules a lot. So instead I have to learn them over several games, which is fine with me. It's fun, but it is a different learning experience. Nonetheless, I've really enjoyed playing Villagers. Also, we've been playing Boiteajeux, which works well as an asynchronous game, I think, because it's short. Like, even taking a couple moves a day, you're playing maybe 3 or 4 days and then the game's over, which I think works really nicely. The Yucata implementation of Boiteajeux is really good. You can hover over anything and it'll tell you all the things you have to do. I don't think it's good for teaching, but I think it's good for reminding. And it reminds you of the things you need to do. Like, it won't let you forget to take an action, which is great. So I'm really enjoying the Boiteajeux implementation. Over on Yucata, I've also been playing Praga Kaput Regni and Underwater Cities, both of which are fantastic. Finally, over on Boiteajeux, I've played a number of things, but my most common and long-standing games are Agricola and Trajan. I've played, I think we are on game 21 of Agricola with Kevin Berendt, who I know through the Blue Peg Pink Peg forums, and maybe game 4 of Trajan. I played Trajan once before, but then I was away from it for a while, but then Kevin suggested we play that. So we've been enjoying these 2-player duels of these games. And these games work really well because you take your whole turn and then the other person takes their turn. They're very, inward focused, which works nicely on asynchronous games. At Agricola especially, I feel like I'm really understanding the rhythms now. And I only win like 1 out of 4 games against Kevin, but when I do, it feels really great. And Trajan, I'm starting to get the handle on as well. So, listener, what games do you play online? Which ones do you enjoy playing asynchronously versus synchronously? Versus you would never play that online, no thank you, please no. I'd love to hear from you about any of those. You can reach out to me on Board Game Geek. My username is Wombat929. I have a forum where sometimes listeners discuss the show. It's called the Pick Up and Deliver Forum. You can get there by going to boardgamegeek.com/guild/3269. You could reach out to me by email, brendan@rattleboxgames. Or if you would like to play an asynchronous game, which I hope you're excited by that possibility, having listened to this episode, you could do so by going to Board Game Arena or Yucata.de or Boiteajeux and inviting Wombat929 to a game. I'll most likely accept, even if it's a game I haven't played before. Though I'll warn you, I haven't played it before, so I'm bad at it. Like right now, I'm playing a game of Russian Railroads with a friend, and I haven't played that game in like a year, so I'm doing pretty bad, but that's okay. Thanks for joining me on my walk today. I hope your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.